afternoon in southern Michigan, and with postseason baseball taking center stage in Detroit, it most certainly feels like fall as the A's and Tigers prepare for Game 2 of this American League Division Series. The game, of course, has many great traditions, and we're about to experience one of the best. For generations, the postseason has delivered many of the defining moments of the game. One of the surest ways to connect this great pastime with the present is to play like there's no tomorrow. And welcome to this MLB Network special presented by Geico. Comerica Park in Detroit, where the Oakland A's and Detroit Tigers play Game 2 of this American League Division Series right here on MLB Network. Welcome inside the broadcast booth in Detroit with Jim Cott, Matt Vasgersian. Yesterday, Game 1, Justin Verlander defeated A's rookie right-hander Jared Parker. Today, Game 2, Oakland offers another rookie starter, becoming the first team in Major League history to open a postseason series with back-to-back rookie starting pitchers, something this team has done, Jim, all year long.
Boy, they really have. First, wow, Matty, what a privilege to be a part of postseason baseball after an exciting regular season. And we get a chance to see another one of those Oakland rookie starters. Today we should be in for a treat of the art of pitching. Change of speeds, movement, along with his bound opponent Doug Fister. That's how they'll try to get it done.
Tigers feeling pretty good about themselves after winning with Justin Verlander last night, and winning on a night when the middle of their lineup, maybe the fiercest 3-4 combination in baseball, combined to go hitless. Despite that, Prince fielder Miguel Cabrera always a threat as they are today.
Yeah, this will be quite a challenge for Tommy Malone. Very similar to the days of Mantle and Maris, McCovey and Mays, more recently Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz. This is what Tommy Malone will have to deal with. Chances are he'll find a parking place for one of those guys or hope that he can pitch to him with nobody on base.
Set for a good one this afternoon. Tigers hoping to get out of here, head to Oakland to continue the series up 2-0. The A's want to get back home with a 1-1 split on the board. We're ready for postseason baseball coming up after a short break. Starting lineups in the opening pitch. The A's and Tigers are next. And welcome back to Detroit in front of a big Tiger towel waving fan base this afternoon. The A's and Tigers are ready for Game 2 of the American League Division Series. Let's take a look at Bob Melvin's Oakland Geico lineup this afternoon for Game 2. Only one change from last night. Coco Crisp will lead it off. Good numbers against his adversary Doug Fister tonight. Stephen Drew, Yoenis Cespedes, and Brandon Moss bat 2 through 4. Moss with 21 home runs in just 265 at-bats. Josh Reddick, Oakland's home run leader. Josh Donaldson, Seth Smith, George Kataris, the only change from last night, and Cliff Pennington round things out for the Oakland A's. On the mound for the Tigers, 28-year-old right-hander and Central Valley, California product, Doug Fister.
And Doug Fister at 6'8", you'd think, wow, this guy will blow you away with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. No, now check the record, 10-10, but he's pitched much better lately. Exceptional in postseason play. He'll dazzle you with a curveball, change of speeds. Like his mound opponent, Malone, he'll more or less be an example of the art of pitching, not try to overpower guys.
You mentioned how good Doug Fister was down the stretch, Jim. Last start of the regular season Tuesday at Kansas City, gave up a couple of runs, but his second to last start, one of record-setting capacity. His first pitch is swung on and missed by Coco Crisp. Crisp, Drew, and Cespedes for Oakland. It was in that next to last start for Doug Fister that he tied an American League record with 9 consecutive strikeouts on the 27th of September against Kansas City. A ball and a strike that counts to Coco Crisp.
And you saw that curveball hang a little high. Jim Leland says as the game goes on, he normally gets a lot better command of that.
And Crisp hits a fly ball into the stands to fall behind 1-2.
Yeah, he's the most unlikely, or one of the more unlikely pitchers you would think to set a strikeout record, because he's not a hard thrower, which I love to see. You know, he depends on change of speeds, destroy the hitter's timing, gets a lot of strikeouts on called strikes.
Ball and 2 strikes to Coco Crisp, who homered against the guy you just saw, Justin Verlander, a night ago. That would be the only run of the ball game for Oakland. That leadoff home run for Coco Crisp yesterday made him the 4th A's player to lead off a postseason game with a home run. Joining him with Bert Campaneris, Ricky Henderson, and Ray Durham, who did it most recently in 2002. Fister's 1-2 pitch home is swung on and missed. So Doug Fister picks up right where he left off a couple of starts ago with a strikeout. With that, we say hello to the third member of our broadcast crew this afternoon, Sam Ryan.
And Matt, Doug Fister told me that pitching in the postseason last year really prepared him for this, in particular Game 5 of the ALDS against the Yankees. He said he was so locked in on his catcher that it was almost like the Kevin Costner movie For the Love of the Game, where everyone else was just muted out. And he told me what he really learned this year is to keep his emotions in check. When he gets too amped up, he takes a step back, a couple of deep breaths, and really gets his heart rate down. That's key for him, guys.
I love it. He wants to be Billy Chapel. Love of the game.
Stephen Drew bats next for Oakland. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike to the former Arizona Diamondback, who was acquired by the A's down the stretch. 39 games in an Oakland uniform, hit 250 and drove in 16. As he falls behind 1-2 now.
Wow, could we have 162 like this? Green grass, sunshine, day baseball. What a great atmosphere.
You were one of the few people whose clock is perfectly suited for a noon local time start. I think a lot of the players are having a hard time getting sleep out of their eyes today. Understandably, certainly for the Oakland guys, as Johnny Peralta ranges out to catch that pop-up. And there are 2 away, Jim, as we check the Ram keys to the game this afternoon.
Well, the keys to the game brought to you by Ram. Pretty simple. For Doug Fister, first pitch strikes and then tempt and tease them with that off-speed stuff. For Tommy Malone, I know Cabrera and Fielder are threats, but if you keep Jackson and Infante off the bases, you can face them with nobody on base. And the power of the pens. Both of these bullpens, particularly Oakland, come out with power arms in the last part of the game. Who's going to get the best of it?
2 gone, bases empty for Yoenis Cespedes. 23 home runs during the regular season for Cespedes. 82 home runs batted in, rather. And for a player who really had the only things known about him via YouTube. An almost comical video of Cespedes flipping tires around and leaping over tall buildings with a single bound. He has produced more than anyone could have imagined. His fly ball to the corner is handled by Andy Dirks, and Doug Fister puts the A's away in order to start the ball game this afternoon. Half inning gone in Detroit, A's 0. Tigers coming to bat. Oakland goes away in order in their half of the first. Time to check Jim Leland's Tigers lineup card presented by Geico. Austin Jackson, Omar Infante, and 7-time All-Star Triple Crown winner Miguel Cabrera lead it off. 4-time All-Star Prince Fielder, followed by Delman Young and Johnny Peralta. Andy Dirks, Avisail Garcia making a start in right, and Gerald Laird behind the plate this afternoon. Tommy Malone's first career postseason start is underway with a strike to Austin Jackson.
Very much Tom Glavine type pitcher. Those of you that remember Tom Glavine, not overpowering, excellent changeup. Will throw that cut fastball in on the hands. And as evidenced by the first 2 pitches being strikes, one of the better control pitchers in the American League.
A 13-game winner during the course of the regular season, acquired by the Oakland A's at the end of December in what a lot of folks thought was a lopsided deal at the time. One that sent Gio Gonzalez to the Washington Nationals, a guy who might be just a few weeks away from being named the National League's Cy Young Award winner. Oakland got a pretty healthy return for that trade, including Tommy Malone and catcher Derek Norris. Here's the 1-2 pitch home to Austin Jackson. A swing and a miss on a ball in the dirt. George Kataris finishes with the throw down, and there's one away on the Detroit first. Well, Bob Melvin has taken this Oakland team in his first full season as skipper and turned it into a division winner. Had some postseason experience managing the 2007 Diamondbacks. That was the year he was named National League's Manager of the Year. It's going to be either Bob Melvin or Buck Showalter in line for that honor in the American League this season. Here's Omar Infante now with 1 gone. And of course the veteran across the other dugout. Jim Leland, the 7th time in his 21 major league seasons he's taken a club to the postseason. And 2 managers, Jim, whose experiences have crossed paths.
Yeah, in 1981, Bob Melvin was an aspiring young potential catcher for the Tigers. His manager in the Instructional League, Jim Leland.
Infante pops it in the infield. Stephen Drew is under it, and there are 2 away.
And as you asked Jim Leland or Bob Melvin about it, Bob said, I found out early on what a competitor Jim Leland is. Usually the Instructional League's a little relaxed. You go down there, kind of like spring training. His team lost 4 in a row. He said, no, he held a meeting, quite a tirade. He said, you're not here to celebrate, you're here to work. How about the nice ovation that this man gets? Well deserved.
Triple Crown numbers: a .330 batting average, 44 runs batted in, 139 runs batted in, that is, and 44 home runs for 7-time All-Star Miguel Cabrera. Hitless in the opener last night.
Well, this is when you would like to face him if you're Tommy Malone. Get him up there with nobody on base.
Malone's 1-1 home. You know, the kind of Cliff Notes way to look at the Tigers lineup is to try to neutralize Cabrera and Fielder. Obviously, they're 2 biggest threats, but as such, I know you believe in this theory, Jim, the 2 guys hitting in front of them, Austin Jackson and Omar Infante, maybe become the most important Tigers on the lineup sheet tonight.
I think so. You're not going to shut down Cabrera and Fielder all the time.
That's headed into the left center field gap. Extra bases for Miguel Cabrera in the home half of the first.
And there's the advantage of facing him with nobody on base. Instead of producing a run, he's on second with 2 out. And that pitch had much too much of the plate, but behind in the count, boy, he waits so long, gets the foot down early. Yeah, what a great looking swing. The fact that he won the Triple Crown just puts the attention on him that a lot of people didn't realize. For me, he's been the best hitter in baseball for quite a while.
So a runner in scoring position now for Prince Fielder, also hitless in game 1 of the series a night ago.
Ball.
Fielder, a .313 hitter during the regular season, 30 home runs, 108 runs batted in. Fans that are used to his gaudy Milwaukee numbers may cite a dip on that 2012 line. Nobody around the Tigers would back that up, however, because as an aside, Fielder's strikeouts have diminished. He's come up with big hits, and as was the case with his Milwaukee days, he's been big down the stretch for the Tigers. And trying to pick up Miguel Cabrera early this afternoon. Two balls and a strike from Tommy Malone.
Delvin Young in the on-deck circle may be one of the key hitters in this Detroit lineup. See, right now, even though it's lefty against lefty, if you're Tommy Malone, you might say, I'd rather go at Delvin Young. I'm not going to give this guy anything good that he can drive.
And it's now 3 balls and a strike to Prince Fielder, who is, by the way, a .300 hitter with runners in scoring position and 2 out this year.
Oftentimes a lefty with a good changeup would rather face a right-hand hitter. You'll get a guy like Delvin Young maybe to roll it over to shortstop, so it would be surprising to see him go ahead and walk Fielder.
3 balls and a strike from Malone. Came right after him, and it's a full count now.
Well, he got him to chase a pitcher's pitch. Usually 3-1 as a hitter. You'd like to, hitters use the term keyhole. Hope that he gets something inside that he can drive. And Malone got Fielder really to take a poor swing for a 3-1 count. Pitch out over the plate.
A full count with the runner at second and 2 away. Home half of the first, scoreless in Detroit. Malone's payoff pitch home, and Fielder sends it into the opposite field for Cespedes to retire the side. Tommy Malone in and out of an early jam in Detroit through an inning. Scoreless. This MLB Network postseason special is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote, and sponsored in part by Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 with S Pen. Note the new way and the Spark business card from Capital One. Get more with double miles or 2% cash back. Looking at Triple Crown winners as we return to Detroit. Brandon Moss leads things off in the Oakland second. It'll be left-handers Moss and Reddick, followed by Josh Donaldson for the A's. And Moss in a quick 0-2 hole. Well, Brandon had a tough start to the night. His final plate appearance was one that gave the A's a little bit of hope. Tried to check his swing there and went around on the appeal. Or did he? He did not, says the appeal by Wally Bell. A ball and 2 strikes.
And this is what Pfister will try to do. He got ahead 0-2, and he's going to try to tease those aggressive A's hitters into chasing bad pitches.
Wow. Caught looking here.
Man, that is, even though Doug Pfister is known as an off-speed pitcher, he gets a lot of outs with his fastball and a lot of called strikes. Why? Check out the late movement on this pitch. See Moss move back off the plate, thought it was going to be a ball, but that late movement, that is so important to a pitcher that doesn't throw exceptionally hard, and it moved back across the inside corner.
Josh Reddick now. Yeah, if we compare Tommy Malone to Tom Glavine, and that's something that Bob Melvin will offer, you can make the case that Pfister has a little bit of Greg Maddux in him, with that what Greg used to call his filth ball that just kind of
that's
floated right back over the plate. And in fact, there are some statistical comparisons to Pfister and Maddux that might surprise some. And quickly he's in front of Josh Reddick 0-2.
Yeah, he's feeling it early, as he said to Sam Ryan, based on his experience last year. He's embracing this pressure rather than being intimidated by it.
Reddick checks a swing. Doug Pfister gets about half of his strikeouts on called third strikes as we take a look at the check swing again.
And again, that'll be the challenge to the A's hitters when Pfister gets ahead, to lay off those borderline pitches.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Reddick 2 for 10 against Doug Pfister for his career. One of the only Oakland hitters that's seen a lot of them. Didn't help him that time, and that's 3 strikeouts for Doug Pfister early today.
Well, let's check out the Tigers. Doug Pfister didn't need any defense on those first 2 of their strikeouts. Tigers not as good in the field as the A's are. They have Andy Dirks, Austin Jackson, and check out this young man, Avisail Garcia. Jim Leland calls him a Miguel Cabrera clone. Cabrera, Peralta, Infante, and fielder on the infield. Gerald Laird does the catching today.
That'll bring up a converted catcher. Oakland third baseman Josh Donaldson. 2 out, bases empty here in the visitors' second.
Boy, he is pounding that strike zone.
Donaldson, a .241 hitter during the regular season. And it was circumstance that found Josh as the starting third baseman as he sends a flare out to shallow right that dumps in for the first Oakland hit of the day. Josh Donaldson came to Oakland via the Rich Harden deal, rather, that was consummated with the Cubs a couple of years ago, and he was a catcher in the Cubs system, drafted as such out of Auburn. Scott Sizemore went down early in the season, and they said, "Hey, Josh, grab a glove. You're going to play third base." It's the way a lot of this A's success went in 2012. Here's Seth Smith now with the runner aboard. And strike 1 to the ex-Rocky.
Well, he's Pfister at 6'8", has a nice quick delivery to home plate also. He gets that leg up and down in a hurry, which I would think would help him hold runners rather close for a guy that big.
Quickly 0-2. Seth Smith struggled down the stretch, one of a couple of Oakland hitters that had declining returns the later the season went, which really belied the overall success the A's had as a team down the stretch. Smith 155 over his last 20. Guys like Josh Reddick, Josh Donaldson really struggled in late September. Yet we all know how the A's 2012 regular season ended. They caught the Rangers down by 5 with 9 to play and were crowned division champs. And now Smith steps out after Pfister had shaken off his catcher a couple of times. The 1-2. And that gets a piece of Seth Smith. So runners at first and second with 2 gone now for the left-handed hitting catcher George Kataris.
There's the pitch. Instead of the fastball running back across the inside corner, he threw him a slider moving in on Smith, and that caught him in the thigh.
First offering home to the ex-Brewer, among other things that George Kataris has been called. He's been around, a veteran catcher, 27 games down the stretch with the A's, during which he hit .212, 6 big home runs, 9 overall this season for Kataris. And a chance to put Oakland on the board early this afternoon, a strike to make it 1-1. Kataris played some postseason baseball last year with the Brewers. He appeared in 3 postseason games with Milwaukee and is looking for his first postseason hit. 0 for 9. A ball and 2 strikes. Pfister has struck out 3. Make it 4 as he strands a pair here in the second. Doug Pfister doesn't refer to himself as a strikeout pitcher, but you'd have a hard time fooling us. Scoreless in Motown. Delman Young, Johnny Peralta, and Andy Dirks in the Detroit second. First ball swinging is Delman Young, and it's a fly ball chance for Reddick. One away here to start the home second.
Well, let's check out the Oakland defense behind Tommy Malone. Much better in the field than the Tigers have been this year. Cespedes in left field, Coco Crisp, and then Josh Reddick in the outfield. Josh Donaldson, Stephen Drew, Cliff Pennington, Brandon Moss around the infield. George Gutierrez does the catching.
See that error graphic? It's a little deceiving. The third most in the American League. This is largely a different cast of characters than the one Oakland fielded before the All-Star break. So for this group, you almost have to throw some of those season-long statements out the window.
You know, numbers can be so deceiving because, as you mentioned, they have a different cast of characters. Plus, you can make errors with 2 out, nobody on. They don't hurt you. But look at the Atlanta Braves. They made 3 in that game, literally cost them the game. So when do you make your errors? And this team's been good, clutch situations.
Johnny Peralta swinging at a 1-1 pitch. That's headed into shallow right, but Reddick closing ground to make the catch. Now Josh might be on the verge of a Gold Glove this year. Had a terrific defensive season. Made a great sliding catch yesterday and runs down what could have been trouble here in the second inning this afternoon.
I didn't see his lips move, but for those of you that don't watch a lot of baseball, the theory is the infielder keeps going until he hears the outfielder say, "I got it." And then he bails out and gets out of the way, which was the proper thing for Pennington to do right there.
2 gone, bases empty now for the Tiger left fielder Andy Dirks. Dirks coming off a terrific regular season through 88 games, hit .322. Part-time duty, playing corner outfield. As he takes a strike, it's 1-1. Sounded like a broken bat. Looks like a base hit. So a 2-out base runner aboard. All the action has gone to right field, and in game 1 there was no chance of anything dropping in with Reddick out there. A great diving catch. This is what we talked about a moment ago. Came in the 5th inning and robbed Austin Jackson of what looked like extra bases. Reddick led the American League in outfield assists this year and stands a very good chance at an American League Gold Glove. So Dirks aboard with 2 gone, and that'll bring up the man that Jim talked about earlier, who Jim Leland compared favorably to Miguel Cabrera of all people. Mini Miguel.
You know, if he had number 24 instead of 30, you see him walking, you say, hey, that's Cabrera. But he comes from Venezuela. Cute story last night with the cold weather. He was keeping Cabrera's helmet and bat warm while he was sitting on the bench.
Abisail Garcia used as a pinch hitter yesterday. 23 regular season appearances for the Tigers minor league player of the year in 2012.
Yeah, he'll get a little taste of a big league changeup that he hasn't seen before, looking at what Tommy Malone has to offer.
Jim Leland pointed out the biggest difference between Miguel Cabrera and Abisail Garcia, other than the fact that Cabrera's done it in the big leagues for a long time, is that Garcia can really run. That skips away from Kataris. On his way to second is Dirks. Throw down closer than it should have been, but Dirks is safe at the bag.
Alert base running by Andy Dirks. And in fairness to George Gutierrez, it's difficult to pick up a ball on the run and throw it where you'd like to. He'd like to see that throw down around the bag. Then they may have had a chance with a quick tag to get him out. If the throw is above the head, Dirk's able to slide in ahead of it.
Scored as a wild pitch. So for the second time in as many innings, the Tigers have a 2-out runner in scoring position. A ball and 2 strikes to the rookie right fielder, Abisail Garcia. All the tight shots we get of Tommy Milone will tell you what you need to know about how relatively long, or short in this case, in the tooth the Oakland starter is. 25 years old. But imagine, he was the oldest Oakland starter in the rotation after Brandon McCarthy's unfortunate accident when he was hit in the head with a line drive, and after Bartolo Colon's suspension. This guy became the senior statesman out there.
That shot right there, you think you're watching the College World Series.
10th rounder by the Nationals out of USC in 2008. And his learning curve ramped up significantly this year in the big leagues. And now he and Kataris want to get on the same page.
Well, man on second, and again, for those of you postseason haven't watched a lot of baseball, when there's a man on second, the catcher changes the sequence of signs. I mean, you'd like to keep it simple, but maybe Milone and Kataris, you said Kataris has just been here for a few weeks. Want to make sure they're right on the sign sequence.
Number 9 hitter Gerald Laird would be next with 2 gone. Milone and Kataris have what they like, and the offering home is a broken bat flare into right. Could be trouble. Reddick on the move, and it's a foul ball. Count 3 broken bats already this afternoon, Jim, between Milone and his counterpart Doug Fister.
Well, it looked like this was off the end of the bat, and with the light bats that the players use today, with thin handles, the sweet spot, the barrel is so small. If you don't center it up, now that was not on the end, that was down on the trademark. They'll snap in half in a hurry. Years ago, bats would chip or crack toward the end. Now, if you don't hit it in the sweet spot, it just shatters in half.
New shillelagh for Garcia. He's ready to go back to work. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Dirk's off second with 2 gone. And a full count now. 3 balls and 2 strikes. There's the on-deck hitter, Gerald Laird. Malone's control numbers during the regular season very good. A roughly 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, where any pitching coach, including his Kurt Young, would be pleased. The payoff pitch home. There's ball 4.
That's a bit of a surprise from Tommy Milone. Maybe respect for Garcia, not knowing that much about him, or maybe as a young hitter he thought he might chase a pitch out of the strike zone. Now you have to face a veteran hitter, not known as an outstanding hitter, but a hitter with certainly more experience than Garcia.
Alex Avila caught yesterday and had a big night for the Tigers, one that included a home run. It's Laird this afternoon, not so much because it's a day start after a night game, but because Jim Leland is simply playing the percentages with the right-handed hitter. And that one hits Laird. Bottom of the lineup, starting a real rally here for the Tigers.
Well, this will test Tommy Milone and maybe test Bob Melvin's patience a little bit. As you said, the bottom third of the order, he nicks Laird in the uniform shirt, and now you have to face Austin Jackson with the bases loaded.
That's something that by design Tommy Milone likes to do. Bob Melvin told us before the game he'll throw that cutter early in a count to move a big hitter off the plate. That one just a bit too far inside. Here is Austin Jackson, a strikeout victim in his first try today. Jackson coming off a regular season in which he established career highs almost across the board. Bases loaded, 2 gone. It's all started with 2 out. A broken bat single by Dirks, a walk to Garcia. Laird hit by a pitch. And there's a fly ball out to shallow right center field. Coco Crisp will handle it, and the bases are left loaded. So far, Malone is stranded 4. Through 2 in Detroit, we're still scoreless. This postseason, for the first time, MLB Network has 2 Division Series games. Catch our next telecast this Wednesday. Bob Costas and Jim Cott have the call only on MLB Network, presented by Geico. No score this afternoon in Detroit. Back with Jim Cott and Sam Ryan, Matt Vasgersian. Cliff Pennington leads off for the A's. Another broken bat, another base hit. And the leadoff hitter is aboard for the first time for Oakland.
Oh, yeah.
So Cliff Pennington with the leadoff single, and it'll go back to the top of the order now. Coco Crisp. Crisp struck out to start the ball game this afternoon, and along with Josh Reddick, we talked about it earlier, really the only 2 Oakland hitters. You could put Pennington in that category, I suppose, as well, with experience against Doug Fister. Fister, of course, with his time in the AL West as a Seattle Mariner. But for Oakland this afternoon, there are 4 starters who are facing him for the first time.
Yeah, and that first time through the batting order, very important, just to take a look at his pattern. Now you notice Pennington hit the first pitch. On the bench, they might be saying, hey, you're going to get a first pitch fastball. Might be the best pitch you get to hit. Otherwise, you'll see the curve and the off-speed stuff.
0-1 to Coco Crisp. Tried to bunt on that first offering. Coco has had a lot of success this year swinging at the first pitch. Something that isn't said of every Oakland or hitter in the league, for that matter. Falls behind quickly, 0-2. A .409 hitter when he swings at the first offering this year. See his numbers well above what have been the league averages for 2012. Here's the 0-2 to him. A ball and 2 strikes.
Well, I love that from a pitching standpoint. See, all of a sudden, at almost 90 miles an hour, Doug Fister unloads one about eye high, just to let him know I got a little bit more than you think I have.
Nuke Lelouch style,
yeah,
if you will. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Coco Crisp. The A's as a team will run. Their total ranking them 6th in the American League. And Pennington, a guy who's been known to try to swipe a bag, 15 of 21 in that capacity for 2012. The story is Fister's tough to run on. And from 0-2 to a full count on Coco Crisp now. There have only been 4 attempts to steal a base with Doug Fister out there.
Yeah, for a guy 6'8", boy, that's catchers appreciate that. Unload that ball in a hurry, give them a chance to throw out the runner.
Let's see if Pennington's running on 3-2. There he goes. Crisp puts it in play to the left side of the infield for Cabrera. Throw brings Prince off the bag, and everybody's safe.
Wow, that's been a downside of the Tigers this year. Their defense has not been the best. That was pretty much a routine play. Miguel had to throw it a bit off balance, but there was no chance for Fielder to stay on it. He had to come off the bag to keep the throw from going toward the stands. That'll be interesting to see whether Bob Melvin tries to employ the sacrifice bunt.
Stephen Drew, the batter, and he takes a strike. By the way, that ball off Coco Crisp's bat ruled an infield single.
Oh boy, that's a gift.
Yeah, Miguel Cabrera, of course, going back to third base for 2012, position that he broke in playing as a young Florida Marlin. Jim Leland himself conceded, listen, you know, he's not going to make anybody forget about Brooks Robinson over there, but we think he's athletic enough to handle the routine plays, which for the most part he has this year.
And that was, by big league standards, a routine play.
A ball and a strike to Stephen Drew.
Save it, pal.
1-2 now. 13 errors for Miguel Cabrera out there at third base during the regular season. That tied for third most in the American League. But I think anybody would agree, Jim, including you and I, you live with that if you get a guy winning a Triple Crown.
Right.
Wow, and a called strike 3 on Stephen Drew. He'd like an explanation.
Well, I think the explanation was, with late movement, the ball, you know, Bob Melvin's going to come out quickly and get Stephen Drew out of there so he doesn't get ejected. But I think the reason for the call was the late movement. That's what Mark Wagner saw. Let's see where he caught the ball. He might have got a break because when it went past Stephen Drew, it may have been off the corner. But in Wagner's case, that late movement took it over the strike zone. It's the advantage of having that kind of movement. Pick up a few strikes that maybe you don't deserve.
First down in the third comes on strikeout number 5 for Doug Fister. 1 out with 2 away, with 1 out with 2 on, that is now, for Yoenis Cespedes. Cespedes flied to left in his first try today. Oakland's favorite Cuban import was big down the stretch. There's a base hit. They're going to go ahead and wave Pennington around. He'll score without a play at the plate for the second straight game in this ALDS. The A's are on the board first.
Well, the Tigers talk about Miguel Cabrera for their MVP, rightly so, but the A's will talk about this guy. And he got a curveball from Doug Fister that hung a little bit too high. And Cespedes barreled it up, put the A's on the board.
1-0 Oakland. Runners at first and second, still with one away now for the left-handed hitting power threat Brandon Moss. We started talking about Cespedes during his first plate appearance, Jim, and the fact that he has been, I think, more than what Billy Beane and his staff ever could have envisioned his being coming from Cuba this year.
Complete baseball player.
Terrific speed, power package. And maybe what surprised the A's most, including Bob Melvin, the fact that he wants to learn how to play the right way and wants to win. Not necessarily here for the individual accolades, but a terrific team presence and a guy who's become one of the, if not the offensive leader in his first season in the big leagues. And maybe in a year when there's no Mike Trout, you'd be looking at a Rookie of the Year candidate.
There's Chili Davis, the Oakland hitting coach. He talks about that same thing. You know, they knew in spring training, Chili said, we've got a team that we think is going to be better than a lot of people think we are. And with guys like Cespedes and young players that are eager to learn, and they have this selfless feeling on the team that doesn't show up in the stat sheet or on the computers, that's taken them to where they're at right now.
3-1 to Brandon Moss, lined into right field. Crisp is being waved around. Garcia with a big arm. The throw to the plate is in time to get him.
A good baseball play on all parts. Garcia charges it properly. Accurate throw, and Crisp does his best to slide around the tag. And a nice play on the receiving end by Gerald Laird. What a throw. One hop, perfect spot, and Laird has time to block Crisp off the plate and make the sweep tag. Can't blame Gallego for wanting to try to send it. It took a perfect throw and a nice play on the other end.
Boy, what a terrific look. And Doug Fister appreciating the stylings of his rookie right fielder on that moment.
Pretty impressive for a youngster. That's Jeff Jones, the pitching coach, and I think that message was with Reddick in the batter's box. Men on second and third and 2 out. You have a parking place for the left-hand hitter. And if you opt to, you can go at Donaldson, who's in the on-deck circle.
Josh Reddick struck out in his first at-bat today. It's been a 4-hit inning for Oakland. So far, only 1 run. You know, the A's stranded 7 yesterday and really had trouble manufacturing against Justin Verlander, understandably so. If Doug Fister were to escape this threat with 4 hits and only 1 run, scored a big win for the Tigers. A ball and a strike to Reddick. Chasing, and it's 1-2. Josh Reddick likely en route to team MVP honors for the A's this year, despite what has been a sluggish finish. And he's caught looking here.
Ooh, careful throwing that equipment.
Yes, the A's get a run, but Doug Fister's able to strand a pair thanks in part to his rookie right fielder. It's 1-0 Oakland. Oakland gets on the board on 4 hits. It's a 1-0 lead for the A's. Tommy Milone working with a slim margin of advantage as we start the bottom half of the third. Omar Infante, Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder for Detroit. Infante popped in the infield in his first try this afternoon. And falls behind 0-2 quickly here. Well, the A's, Jim, so far today in Game 2, through 3 innings, have matched their hit total from last night. The Justin Verlander, Joaquin Benoit, Jose Valverde combination really strangling the A's offense in Game 1.
Well, they figured to get more hits off Doug Fister, but he does a good job of damage control and making big pitches with men on base. And, of course, that great play by Garcia and Laird.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Omar Infante. The challenging part of the Tigers' order here with Cabrera and Fielder next. And it's 3-2.
Having a hard time, Tommy Milone is commanding that, what you'd call a cut fastball. The fastball that is designed to go in on the right-hand hitter's hands. He's missing well off the plate with it.
And a swing and a miss. Huge out from Milone. After being a ball away from walking the leadoff hitter in front of Miguel Cabrera, he comes back to strike out Omar Infante. So the bases are empty with 1 gone for Miguel Cabrera.
Again, he gets to face him with nobody on base.
Cabrera doubled in the first. You know, we talked earlier, Jim, about the Triple Crown winner being hitless yesterday in the opener. He was 0 for 3. But just as a slice of how skilled Miguel Cabrera is as a hitter, he made contact on every pitch that he swung on yesterday in Game 1.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't swing through a whole lot of pitches. You have to pitch him high and hard or low and slow. It reminds me when I see Cabrera, the late great Robin Roberts, a Hall of Famer that I got to know. He always said, they'd ask me, how do you pitch Willie Mays? He said, tell me the inning, the score, and the count. And that'll dictate how you go at it.
3 balls and a strike. So Milone has fallen behind Cabrera with Prince Fielder on deck and 1 away. So you hear this kind of game planning talk a lot in the NFL, not to let a certain opponent beat you. The A's made a decision to do that with Cabrera yesterday. A full count now. They just weren't going to let him hit anything good. For the season, more balls, and that one's hit it into the gap again. Before we can even finish the thought, Cabrera's aboard with a second double in as many at-bats today.
Well, here's how Tommy Milone went at Cabrera. That pitch misses off the plate. He said you got to pitch him high and hard or low and slow. Falls to 3-0. That in. There's one that he takes, and again, too much of the strike zone. They might as well play Coco Crispov over there, because that's where he's going to hit the ball in those pitches. A gapper.
So a little different situation here in the third than in the first when Cabrera had doubled. This has come with 1 away. First offering to Fielder into the opposite field. Cabrera held at third, runners at the corners with 1 away.
Well, if there is such a thing as an advantage for Tommy Milone, that looked like a breaking ball that hung a little bit high, and Prince Fielder just slapped it the other way. It was a slider or a cut fastball. If there is such a thing as an advantage, he faced him with nobody on, so they still haven't scored a run. He has a chance to get out of it with a double play.
Delman Young flied to right in his first try. Hitless in the opener yesterday. And again, the importance of the number 5 spot in the Tigers order is magnified here. Malone ready to go to work with runners at the corners. Can't help but think of Prince Fielder at first base and what he's done to aid and abet MVP runs the past couple of years. Ryan Braun's protection policy in Milwaukee for his MVP season in the National League last year. That's off the end of the bat. The tag applied on Young. Cabrera will score. And the Tigers have evened it up in the third. It looked like Brandon Moss thought about coming home.
Well, I think Brandon Moss made the right play. Yeah, baseball is a rather leisurely paced game, but when you're on the field, things happen in a hurry, and you have to make fast decisions. I think it would have been quite a gamble for him to try to throw out Cabrera at home and miss, and they'd have first and second and 1 out. He took the sure out and gave up the run.
Fielder to second now with a run in. Here's Johnny Peralta. Not to mention, you got Miguel Cabrera coming down at George Kataris, and Cabrera is listed at a rather conservative 6'4", 240. It's 1-1.
Well, this is what Brandon Moss was faced with. You see the ground ball. Now he fields it in Cabrera. See, Cabrera, for him to transfer the ball to his throwing hand, I just think it would have been too much of a gamble. And he made a quick decision, and in my opinion, the right decision.
Big wave and a miss by Peralta, and he falls behind 1-2. A couple of doubles and a run scored for the MVP candidate. Andy Dirks waiting next with 2 away. Malone trying to finish this right here. 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know, we say MVP candidate for Miguel Cabrera. In the minds of many, he's a lock because of the Triple Crown. But there are a lot of folks that are still partial to the vote of young Mike Trout en route to Rookie of the Year honors, and maybe MVP as well. It's going to be an interesting vote. Full count.
Of course, being a pitcher, I might be a little biased, but I don't think you can find anybody more valuable than Jim Johnson's been to the Baltimore Orioles.
MVP?
Why not? Would they win without him?
Oh, you are such a pitcher.
Well, I mean, would they win without him?
Probably not.
Is he valuable to his team? As valuable as anybody?
I understand.
He's still a player, whether he's a pitcher or a hitter.
It's a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Johnny Peralta.
No, I agree. I think they should have Player of the Year and Pitcher of the Year. MVP is so difficult to describe because there's a lot of guys that are valuable to their team, and you're going to get a look at them right here.
No wrong answers here, according to most. Mike Trout, terrific. The Angels would not have made anything resembling a run without him. I'd say the same thing about Miguel Cabrera's contributions. That Triple Crown is going to be hard to ignore for a lot of voters, however. Still a full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Johnny Peralta. And a swing and a miss. Well, Tommy Malone went to a full count on 3 of his last 5 batters, but he finishes Peralta to cap the damage at only a run. Coming up, a chat with Tiger manager Jim Leyland. Next. The MLB Division Series continues all day on TBS with triple header action. Watch the Nationals battle the defending world champion Cardinals, followed by Jeter and the Yankees against the upstart Orioles. The last game of the day, Joey Votto and the Reds against Madison Bumgarner and the Giants. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on TBS. Back with Jim Cotton, Sam Ryan, Matt Vasgersian here in Detroit. Starting your postseason palette with the, quote, early game this afternoon between the Tigers and A's. A 1-1 ball game as Josh Donaldson leads things off in the visitors' fourth.
I guess out on the West Coast, Matt, they call this breakfast at Comerica. They answered at breakfast at Wimbledon. 9 o'clock in the morning, they were watching it.
I think you're right about that. Yeah, there had been some discussion, too, about what the early start time would do to the A's. You travel to the Eastern time zone, play the night game in Game 1. Very short night's sleep. Back out here today for what was a light round of batting practice for Oakland. The Tigers took no BP prior to Game 2. Tough turnaround from the guys on the Pacific time zone clocks.
Well, I always had a saying, Matt, when guys would talk about tired late in the year, I said, if you're going to be a baseball player and the days and the nights run together, sleep in November. Plenty of time then.
3 balls and a strike from Doug Fister to Josh Donaldson. A full count, not so fast.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Doug Fister, and I'll give you a little example why, is getting the benefit of those. Watch Gerald Laird's glove. See, even though the ball may miss the strike zone a little, by the time it moves, Laird doesn't have to move his glove, and that's what the umpire looks like. So he said, hey, that's a strike.
Fister has struck out 6, and he loses Donaldson here on a leadoff base on balls. It was 1-0 Oakland until Miguel Cabrera scored that tying run in the third. Between innings, we talked to Jim Leland about his MVP candidate and asked him if he ever just stands around and watches.
Well, of course you do, but you got to be careful, because you're supposed to be managing the game, so you don't want to get carried away with, watching him and not paying attention to what else is going on.
Well, speaking of watching the game, Jim, I have a pretty good seat right up here behind home plate, but I got to believe day game, sunshine, what's at stake. This has got to be fun for you, even though you're competing and managing. What a scene.
Oh, this is great. We've had them all year. It's really exciting postseason baseball all over, all the teams that are playing now, so it's great.
Jim, thanks as always for the time. Best of luck.
Sure, thanks.
Seth Smith, the batter, with a runner aboard, and Andy Dirks following that high fly ball all the way into the stands, and it's likely that had Dirks been there sooner, he may have had a chance to pull that ball out of the first row.
Yeah, that's a nice effort, having to run that far and even getting leather on it.
Another broken bat. This little pop handled by Miguel Cabrera. A lot of kindling coming to this game so far today.
I'll tell you, that's amazing. A guy like Doug Fister doesn't throw that hard, can break hitters in the dugout. They'll say, boy, you got in your kitchen that time, didn't he? And he can still break some bats despite not being a overpowering pitcher.
Here's George Kataris now. He struck out to end the second, left a couple of runners aboard, trying to pick up Donaldson here with 1 away. Kataris joined the A's just in time for the big run. Came aboard at the end of July. It was at the beginning of July that Oakland really flipped the script, if you will. Reeled off a big month, and it was followed by a big August and big September, and amassed for the game's best record in the second half of the season. A ball and a strike. We made that comment earlier, Jim, about how the A's personnel group is so much different than it was the first couple of months of the season. Kataris comes aboard. Brandon Moss comes up from the minors and hits a bunch of home runs in 260 at-bats. Stephen Drew is added. And there were just tough decisions made along the way as well. Derek Barton sent down, a guy who'd been here for a while. Jamile Weeks, player many had designated the second baseman of the future. All those decisions turned out to be for the betterment of the club, however, and put the A's where they are today.
Interesting you mentioned that, Matt, when it comes to voting for shares, voting playoff shares. What happens on a team when they go to postseason play, the guys that have been there all year, they vote on some of these part-time players, how much of a share of the postseason money should they get. You know, a fourth of a share. And normally there's like 20 guys in the room. The A's had 5 players that were there start to finish in uniform. They had some on the disabled list, Johnny Gomes, Josh Reddick, 2 of them. We'll look at that pitch just off the outside corner. And they had 18 rookies they dressed up for hazing.
Swing and a miss. 7 strikeouts for Doug Fister.
Wow, true to form, a lot of first pitch strikes and then tease and tempt. See that ball looked like it was going to be middle of the plate, but that nice late movement took it to the outside corner. His postseason career high 7. Remember, he struck out 8 in a row during the regular season.
Here's Cliff Pennington now. He singled and scored the A's run back in the 3rd. It really is amazing how Doug Fister has almost recrafted himself as a strikeout fly ball pitcher. Not the same formula for success that he had when he came here from Seattle last year. Not the same formula that he used earlier in the season when the results weren't as good. And there have been those that have speculated as to why. They felt like Doug changed himself because the defense behind him wasn't necessarily as sharp as you'd like to see it for a, quote, ground ball pitcher. Both parties, the defense, Fister himself, they refute that. Doug may be more of a strikeout artist these days, but it's not because he was trying to keep the ball away from his infield. A ball and 2 strikes to Cliff Pennington. There goes Donaldson. Line to fielder. He knocks it down. Gets it to Fister in time. It's a half step better than the head first slide. Nothing despite the leadoff walk. Middle of the 4th in Detroit. A's and Tigers are scoreless. Welcome back to this MLB Network Division Series special presented by Geico with Jim Cotton, Sam Ryan, Matt Vasgersian here in Detroit. A 1-1 ball game as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Not scoreless indeed, but a 1-1 tie here in the bottom half of the fourth. Andy Dirks will lead things off for the Tigers. Dirks, Garcia, and Laird against Tommy Milone. Andy Dirks single, came with 2 out in the second, and started what looked like may become a real tempest in a teapot after Garcia walked and Laird was hit by a pitch. But Milone got out of that bases loaded jam with a fly ball off the bat of Austin Jackson. The Detroit run came in the third after Cabrera had doubled, Fielder had singled. A Delman Young ground ball tied the score at 1. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Andy Dirks. Still 2-2. A swing and a miss. Strikeout number 4 for Tommy Milone this afternoon. Well, we talked about how the Tigers scored their run. Oakland's run came courtesy of a Yoenis Cespedes RBI single in the third, a player for whom the ceiling is very high. We visited with A's manager Bob Melvin between innings and asked him if in fact Cespedes has exceeded even the A's expectations.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, this guy makes adjustments on the fly. Everything he's had to deal with, from a culture shock to new teammates to a new league, learning the opponent and so forth. Boy, it's a pretty quick learning curve for him.
Bob, talk about a learning curve. It's impressive to me as a pitcher to imagine how Tommy Milone can be as composed as he is in this kind of a situation. You've seen it all year.
He really has, and doesn't have his best command at this point, yet he's still fighting. Hasn't had his best rhythm, but for a young guy, he can find it over the course of a game. The ball strike ratio probably a little off for him right now, but he's still battling.
Young team, Bob, you've taken young teams to the postseason before, the 07 Diamondbacks. Any comparisons between that club and the 2012 A's?
Yeah, probably some. We had a little bit more of a veteran, at least rotation in Arizona. We have all youngsters right now with some of the injuries, but there are some similarities.
Bob, thanks for the time. Best of luck the rest of the way.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Bob.
2 balls and a strike to count to Avisail Garcia, batting here with 1 away in the fourth. Ground ball up the middle. Drew to his left, spins, throws, in time to get him. Now, Stephen Drew is one of those components that Bob Melvin had with the 2007 Diamondbacks, and he makes a good play on his manager's behalf here.
Well, Matt, you pointed out how we showed the fielding graphic, 111 errors, and what's deceiving about that is now that Stephen Drew is there, he takes a base hit away from Avisail Garcia. So their defense much improved the second half of the year, and there's an example of it.
2 out, bases empty now for the catcher Gerald Laird. There's another similarity as we take a look at Drew, the throw once again, and the good work by Brandon Moss on the receiving end. Another similarity between these A's and the 07 Diamondbacks. And this one's rather striking, Jim. These are the only 2 postseason teams in Major League history. They're both managed by Bob Melvin. To field a starting lineup that includes players who have never made an All-Star game.
But may in the future.
You would think.
Oh, yeah.
You would certainly think.
Well, the A's have been known for many things in there. They've gone to postseason play. Only the Red Sox and Yankees, say, in the last 30 years have gone more. So there's a nice winning tradition here in Oakland. At one time it was Billy Ball, then it was known as Moneyball, and this year I think they've defied the crystal ball.
and 2 strikes to Gerald Laird. We mentioned Laird starting today because of the matchup against the left-handed starter, and that makes traditional sense. Statistically, however, it's really hard to explain why Gerald Laird has actually had better success at the plate this season against right-handed pitchers. Whatever the cause may be, Jim Leland ain't buying it today. He wanted the traditional left-right split out there this afternoon. Still 2-2.
There's the split Matt's talking about. Oftentimes when you see splits like that, and that foul ball might be an example, Gerald Laird is a guy that likes the ball. Maybe he likes it middle in. Malone's the kind of guy that'll tease you with that changeup low and away. Like that.
Well, you were out in front of that one, weren't you? I'll be back with Karnak Cott for the next inning after a short break. Still a 1-1 ball game. This MLB Network telecast is sponsored in part by Degree. Men Adrenaline Series lasts longer because it works more when you move. And by Humana. And Dairy Queen's new spicy chicken strip basket, now just $4.49. Some of the notable faces and names to have worn both the A's and Tigers uniforms over the years. Brandon Inge, currently a member of the Oakland A's roster. Top of the order for the A's lineup here in the top of the 5th. Here is the longtime Tiger, and a longtime Tiger favorite, we should add.
You know, speaking of Brandon Inge, talk about double dipping. Mentioned playoff shares. Brandon Inge will get voted a partial share from both teams.
That's a great point. This has worked out well for
he's
Brandon.
only with the Tigers a little while, but he, it's not guaranteed, but he could get some consideration for a slice of the pie.
He's this year's Benji Molina, if you will, who shared a World Series share when the Rangers met the Giants a couple of years ago. More lucrative stuff. Crisp checks his swing, and the check is held up on the appeal to third. It's 2 balls and a strike. Crisp, Drew, and Cespedes for Oakland. A run on 5 hits for the visiting A's, a run on 4 hits for the homestanding Tigers. And big curveball's in for a strike.
As Jim Leyland, true to his prediction, he said as the game goes on, Fister gets a little better feel for his curveball and has better command of it. That was an example of it.
There's another one. Crisp lines it out to shallow center. Jackson got a late break on it, but is able to recover and make the catch. So with 1 gone and the base is empty, that'll bring up Stephen Drew, with whom Bob Melvin reunited when Drew was acquired from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And for more on their years together, let's check in with Sam Ryan.
Yeah, and Matt, Stephen told me that having Bob here really made the transition a lot easier for him over the last 2 months. Of course, he played for him in 07 with the Diamondbacks. And Stephen did say that, yeah, these two teams are similar in the aspect that they are a lot of young players on both teams. And he told me what really makes Bob Melvin more effective with the younger players is he really has these guys believing in themselves no matter what. And that's what this team has been doing, this Oakland A's team, the entire second half of the season, guys.
Well, Bob Melvin will be the first one to tell you that can't really describe his managerial style. He's not really a chest thumping, me out in front type personality, and he'll credit a lot of his managerial influences, in particular Roger Craig, for whom he played and had big years in San Francisco, as being maybe the guiding principle behind some of his philosophy.
And Sam's report to just support the accuracy of that, and talking to Chili Davis, their hitting coach, he said the same thing. He said, you know, you play this game and you have so many organizations that'll say he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't hit the curve. They tell you what you can't do. But he said what this organization has done is with these young players in the spring, and as they've come along, they've said, hey, you're good at doing this, you're good at doing that. Take advantage of that, so that they instill a lot of confidence in these young players.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Stephen Drew. That's bounced to the right side of the infield for Omar Infante, and 2 outs here in the 5th.
Hello there.
Big crowd on hand for what will be the final game in Detroit in this LCS, in this LDS, that is. Games 3, if necessary 4 and 5 in Oakland, as the series will resume on Tuesday. This first year of the dual wildcard format produced some scheduling anomalies, which the league hopes will go away in subsequent years. First offering home to Cespedes is in for a strike, and one of them is that the team with, quote, home field advantage really didn't get to exercise it, in that team, the A's in this case, had to start the series on the road. Chopper to third. Cabrera's up with this routine chance, and it's a 1-2-3 fifth authored by Doug Fister. Middle of the afternoon, the A's and Tigers all evened up at 1 apiece. The MLB Division Series continues next on TBS with triple header action. The Nationals battle the defending world champion Cardinals. That one's followed by Jeter and the Yankees taking on the Orioles. The last game of the night, Joey Votto and the Reds against Madison Bumgarner and the Giants. Coverage begins at 3 Eastern, only on TBS. What an exciting opener for the Cincinnati Reds in San Francisco last night. They lose their starter in the first. Matt Latos comes on and leads the Reds to a rather improbable victory in San Francisco.
Those are the things, you know, everybody slices and dices the numbers and the percentages, and your starting pitcher goes down after 8 pitches and you still come back and win. Things that happen in postseason baseball that you can't predict.
Austin Jackson leads things off in the 5th. Jackson, Infante, and Cabrera for Detroit. There were some that, when analyzing this start for Tommy Milone, did so perhaps a little squeamishly, in that his road numbers this year have not been nearly as good as those posted at home. The other side of it is, yes, the O.Co Coliseum is extremely pitcher friendly with all the spacious foul territory, but Comerica Park ain't exactly a bandbox in its own right.
No, and when you look at those numbers, you know, I kind of chuckle at him, because what if he had 2 real bad games and his ERA went up high?
Ground ball to third. Good play by Josh Donaldson. The converted catcher throws out Jackson.
So unless you look deeper inside the numbers, and again, postseason play is a different season. I don't even like to look at the numbers during the season in terms of individuals. There are some that will tell you an example. There's a quick look at the ball strike ratio that Bob Melvin mentioned isn't quite as good as Tommy Milone usually has during the season, but he's still very effective.
Omar Infante now. Well, what you mentioned about a couple of bad starts kind of blowing up an ERA almost irreparably, that's more or less what happened with Milone. And his road struggles were pronounced. They came early in the season, however. It's out into shallow center field. Drew back there to make the catch. So 2 gone now for Miguel Cabrera. And he has been every bit the threat today. A pair of doubles. He has scored Detroit's run.
And Tommy Milone has done a great job. But what I thought was one of the keys of the game, have him hit with nobody on. And he's got 2 hits, but he's had to hit with the bases empty all 3 times.
First pitch, swing and a drive out to deep right center field. Crisp has a play shy of the track to put away Cabrera and make for a 1-2-3 bottom of the 5th. Both starters rolling right along, still tied at 1. The Tigers and A's first met in a postseason series in 1972, a series marred by this incident. Game 2 in Oakland, Bert Campaneris was having a big game. Laren LeGros was instructed by manager Billy Martin to drill him. He did just that, and Campy responded by flipping his bat at the pitcher.
Boy, that was an ugly scene. And ironically today, Al Kaline and Jim Price, one of the radio announcers with the Tigers, both there. And Laren LeGros had some very choice words for Billy Martin. He did not want to do that. It was a very unprofessional thing. It incited a fight, which Billy was never. He started fights, but he was very seldom involved in them. He was a great spectator.
Brandon Moss, Josh Reddick, Josh Donaldson in the Oakland 6th, tied 1-1 this afternoon, and that one gets a piece of Brandon Moss.
Well, that's a couple times Doug Fister has tried to run that little slider, or if he calls it a cutter, in on the left-hand hitters, and they're not budging. Taking one for the team and getting on first base. That one caught him in the back foot.
Second Oakland hit batsman today. Now Josh Reddick. The A's have put their leadoff hitter aboard in each of the last 3 innings, but they've been able to score a total of 1 run, largely because their hits today, 5 of them, have all been singles. Reddick struck out swinging in the second, looking in the third. Offers and misses at the bunt attempt to fall behind 0-2. Josh Reddick will be the first to tell you that his meetings with Doug Fister have been tough. 2 for 12 career now against the Tiger right-hander. And he went around. Third time Reddick has struck out this afternoon.
Just another strikeout, another impressive display of Doug Fister pitching. Get ahead, expand the zone, and get these hitters to chase. Look at that. What a great shot from our guys of the curveball grip. From 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, that straight rotation. Tough for a hitter to hold up on.
1 out, 1 on now for Josh Donaldson. And the strikeout totals posted by Tiger pitchers have been rather impressive in a game and a half's worth of baseball in this division series. That's 21 Oakland hitters to strike out.
I don't think it's going to be a surprise, depending on how long this series goes. Oakland could very well set a record for most strikeouts, because they are a team that swings hard, strikes out, hits a lot of home runs.
0-2 to Josh Donaldson. Well, they set a franchise record for strikeouts this year, did the A's. This is the first ball club to lead the league in strikeouts, first team to lead the league in strikeouts and play in the postseason in some time. Donaldson chops it over the mound. Peralta gets one himself and doubles off Donaldson. Nothing in the Oakland 6th. An impressive afternoon for Doug Fister. Just keeps getting better as we send you back to the MLB Network studios to check in with Paul Severino. A 1-1 ball game, bottom half of the 6th. Prince Fielder, Delman Young, Johnny Peralta against Tommy Malone. Shadows of some of the all-time greats. Al Kaline here in attendance this afternoon, as he is just about every home game at Comerica Park.
He used to send a limousine for me the day I pitched. He wanted to make sure I got to the park safe and sound so he could get his 4 hits.
A ball and a strike to count to Prince Fielder, who is 1 for 2 today. His first hit of the series, a single back in the 3rd. Well, regardless of the result this afternoon, the series resumes in Oakland on Tuesday. And there is still some discussion as to the pitching matchups when this series shifts to Oakland. The A's are hoping to have Brett Anderson available. Came off the DL after elbow surgery and was terrific after the All-Star break. Then an oblique injury put him on the shelf again at the end of the year. With Bob Melvin, Kurt Young optimistic that they'll have their big power left-hander available sometime when the series gets back to Oakland.
Boy, that'd be a big plus for them. Big swing right there by Prince Fielder. He had designs on breaking this tie and hitting one in the right field seats.
The 2-2 from Malone. As far as the Tigers, the remainder of this series, they're set with Anibal Sanchez on Tuesday. Max Scherzer goes game 4 Wednesday if necessary. And then back to Justin Verlander Thursday for the finale if it's needed. Fielder hanging around on 2-2.
Boy, what a good job Tommy Malone is doing just for a little inside pitching. Watching what Prince Fielder is doing, it almost looks like he's expecting a breaking ball down and away. So he's diving into the pitch, and Malone runs that fastball in on the handle of his bat, and he can't center it up.
That one's centered up. Out to left center field, but playable for Cespedes, and there's one away. You know, one glance around the stands, Kitty, and you see people wrapped up today. It's chilly, even by Detroit standards.
That's perfect.
But the point being, you know, this ain't midsummer when the ball's going to run a little bit better.
That's true. Like Wrigley Field, you want to pitch there in April and September, but not during the summer.
48 degrees as we speak. Delman Young takes strike 1. Young drove in the Tigers' only run in the 3rd with a ground ball to the right side of the infield. That brought in Miguel Cabrera to make it 1-1. And Young behind 0-2. A reminder to visit MLB.com shop for the official online Major League Baseball apparel source. The largest selection of authentic postseason caps, t-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, and more. The MLB.com shop. A ball and 2 strikes to Delman Young. Out to right center field. Should stay in the air for Reddick, and there are 2 outs here in the 6th. That's 10 in a row retired by the rookie left-hander Tommy Malone. You know, we went on the air today, Jim, talking about this Oakland, the young pitching story, and this has largely been how they've won all year. A record 53 victories recorded by rookie pitchers. And it's a story that started yesterday with Jared Parker, pitched well in a loss, and it's continuing today in a tie game with Tommy Malone.
I think one of the reasons you're seeing that, other than the fact that these guys are good, you know, they're really coming into their own at the same time. With expansion, I think players are getting to the big leagues younger. Organizations rush them to the big leagues a little sooner. And as a result, they get an opportunity to perform at a young age.
Peralta lines to shallow center. That drops in front of Coco Crisp. A 2-out single in the Tigers' 6th. So that breaks up the run of 10 in a row retired by Malone. And it'll bring up Andy Dirks with 2 out and a runner aboard. Dirks has singled and struck out today. For most of the year, Jim Leyland has employed a corner outfield platoon of sorts. And one of the decisions the Tigers made in crafting their Division Series roster may have caught some by surprise when Brennan Bosch was left off the list. There are a lot of people saying, wow, you're going to start Avisail Garcia and give a rookie with all of 23 major league games of experience, give him a slot on the postseason roster and not Bosch, who's been a fairly reliable component in their offensive attack the last couple of years.
Part of that might be that in Game 3, you just mentioned that they might see Brett Anderson. So you want a right-hand bat with the potential to do what Garcia can do as opposed to Bosch. That may have entered into some of his thinking.
Yeah, that was explained as being a big part of the decision, not to mention Bosch had really struggled this year, very inconsistent down the stretch. That's certainly not to say that he won't be included on postseason rosters if the postseason will continue, because you have a chance, as fans know, to reset that postseason roster in front of every series. Two balls and 2 strikes to Andy Dirks. And a swing and a miss. Finishing with the throw to the bag is George Kataris. And the 2-out single is left stranded. 6 strikeouts for Tommy Malone this afternoon, still tied at 1. A postseason memory that Oakland fans would just as soon forget. They had a 2-0 lead over the Yankees in the 2001 American League Division Series. The Jeter play in Game 3, and the Yankees would come back and win 3 straight.
What a memorable play. And again, an example, if you do the little things, in that case, if Jeremy Giambi just slides into home plate, he's safe.
Seth Smith leads off in the Oakland 7. Smith, Kataris, and Pennington against Doug Fister, who has been one tough customer here this afternoon.
Now we're getting into that time of the game, and this has been a beautiful thing to watch. Fister and Tommy Malone slicing up these hitters from both sides that we're going to begin to look at the power of the pens. 7th inning on.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Seth Smith.
There's that pitch that Fister has used so effectively to the hitter. It looks about 6 inches inside, and then it moves back across the corner for a strike.
Same pitch that missed that time.
So wait a minute. I've been throwing that all day. There was a strike. What was wrong with that one? You see, it looks inside. Yeah, that one did. He didn't quite hit the target.
Smith bounces that ball foul wide of the first base bag. Well, Doug Fister has really put on quite a clinic this afternoon, limiting Oakland to a run on 5 singles. He struck out 8. He's walked only 1. He's hit a couple of batters. But on neither occasion did those hit batsmen come around to haunt Detroit. And trying to mitigate the bottom of the lineup here in the top of the 7th. Breaking ball misses for ball 4. Once again, Oakland puts its leadoff hitter aboard.
And it's a stage of the game now. We didn't see it earlier with Stephen Drew. You may see a sacrifice bunt attempted.
George Kataris has struck out twice today. Indeed, he's bunting, and he puts down a good one. That advances the go-ahead run into scoring position with 1 away.
No surprise there. With this Oakland bullpen, you play for 1 run and get that lead. They've been awfully good. Low-scoring games, well executed. Fister has but 1 play, looping throw to fielder for the sure out.
So now Cliff Pennington 1 for 2 so far this afternoon. The bullpen getting hot. Octavio Dotel and the left-hander Phil Koch.
And both teams have power bullpens. Koch from the left side, Dotel. They get to the 8th. It'll be Benoit, and then in the 9th, of course, Valverde.
Coco Crisp waiting on deck. And it's 2 balls and no strikes to the former first-rounder Cliff Pennington. Pennington really showing his versatility and value to the A's this year. A player drafted as a shortstop, played very little second base before this season. Moved to that spot to accommodate Stephen Drew. And a base hit for Pennington. They're going to wave Smith around. He'll score without a play. And Oakland goes back on top.
Gene Lamont on the phone to the Tiger bullpen, and as good as Doug Fister has been, it's that leadoff walk that provides a run for the A's, gives them a 2-1 lead.
Here's Crisp now with Pennington aboard. You're talking about a guy in Cliff Pennington, the number 9 hitter, a .215 batter during the course of the regular season, and he has been a major burr in the Tigers' saddle today. 2 for 3, a run scored, and now an RBI. 1-1.
Crisp taking a long look down at Mike Gallego for a sign. It's the kind of situation where a hit and run would be a logical play.
chopper weakly hit to second. Infante's got only one choice, and that's to first. So Pennington moves into scoring position now on the second out of the inning.
It wasn't a hit and run, but it was a productive out, advancing the runner into scoring position, giving Drew a chance to knock in one.
Stephen Drew hitless 0 for 3 today. You know, just to follow up on the walk story, Jim, we talked about the 2 leadoff walks that Pfister has issued, one of them coming around to score. Before all that, a drive out to the opposite field that's handled by Dirks. This is the only game all year that Doug Pfister has issued 2 leadoff walks. One of them is scored to make it 2-1 Oakland. Welcome back to this MLB Network Division Series special presented by Geico with Jim Cotton, Sam Ryan, Matt Vasgersian in Detroit, where the Oakland A's have taken a 2-1 lead, getting us into the bottom half of the 7th. The press box bustling with activity as the grandstand has been on a very fallish afternoon in southern Michigan.
Well, what Bob Melvin has done here, to our surprise, we can't see the Oakland bullpen. He's going to his bullpen here in the bottom of the 7th inning. He's got 3 hard throwers that come out of there: Doolittle, Cook, and then Belfour, and he'll go with the lefty, Sean Doolittle. And Matty, we'll get into this story. This has been some remarkable story. A pitcher who about a year ago was a first baseman, has no postseason experience, never pitched, and when Oakland goes to their bullpen, they have 3 guys. I call it the power control number. They strike out more guys than they allow hits. Look at those numbers: 60 strikeouts and only 11 walks in 47 innings.
Well, Sean Doolittle's charge here is to protect the 1-run lead in the 7th. It'll be Avisail Garcia, Gerald Laird, and Austin Jackson scheduled.
Even though they're right-hand hitters, Bob Melvin has the ultimate confidence in Doolittle as a lefty to get them out.
Well, it's in the hands of the Oakland bullpen, a group that helped deliver the improbable division title with yeoman's duty down the stretch. Sean Doolittle, the rookie southpaw, ready to begin his first career postseason appearance.
The other thing that this does, bringing Doolittle in to face right-hand hitters, bottom part of the lineup, it keeps Quentin Berry and Avila left-hand hitters on the bench.
There's the note we talked about, how good they've been as a group, the Oakland bullpen, working on 26 consecutive scoreless innings. It's a stretch that began with their sweep of the Texas Rangers to capture the AL West flag.
Yeah, these guys come in. I mean, Cook has a variety of pitches, Ryan Cook, but Doolittle and Belfour, it's just country hardball. I mean, here it is. Hit it if you can. They get it up there in a hurry.
A ball and 2 strikes to Avisail Garcia.
Ouch. In on the hands. That's got to leave you with a handful of fingernails.
Even when it's warm out, you say ouch. Given the 48-degree temperatures today that are dropping, incidentally, sting even more. Doolittle's 1-2 is swung on and missed. At 96 miles an hour, Sean Doolittle records his first career postseason strikeout.
Now, he went to the school zone fastball early on, just cruised it in there, and then with 2 strikes, he went to the freeway speed limit. He jacked it up there to about 96.
Young group of relievers putting together a very good overall campaign. It didn't just happen the last couple of weeks of the regular season. Here's Gerald Laird now. On the first pitch, a bouncing ball to second. 2 quick outs for Doolittle in the 7th.
That still amazes me when I think of a young man who has been a first baseman until a year ago, and all of a sudden well, you got a good arm, you're not hitting much, and here he is pitching in the postseason and helped pitch this team to a division championship. That's incredible.
2 out, bases empty for him now. He'll face Austin Jackson, who's 0 for 3 this afternoon. And you know, Jim, in the category of not judging a transaction immediately and waiting for all the moving parts to settle, the selection of Sean Doolittle came to Oakland in 2007. He was a first-round supplemental pick, and his draft choice came to the A's by virtue of their losing Barry Zito via free agency to the crosstown San Francisco Giants. A type A free agent, and as compensation, the team that loses that player gets that first-round supplemental pick from the team that signed said player. So Zito signs the big deal with the Giants, and that's had increasing returns. Zito has been terrific this year. And now Sean Doolittle comes to the big league team some years later and contributes in a big way as a reliever. The 2-1 to Jackson is a base hit into left center field. And now Oakland will have to contend with his speed with 2 out.
Yeah, now this out becomes as important as the last out of the game. And why? It's pretty obvious, because Miguel Cabrera will be in the on-deck circle. So if you get Infante for out number 3, you get him leading off again. I can't see Ryan Cook warming up in the A's bullpen. But you would almost think, if this situation materialized, that Ryan Cook would come in to face Cabrera.
Here's Infante in the meantime with 2 out and a runner aboard. 0-1 to Omar Infante.
Nobody
that
up. Nope,
kitchen is bare.
Yeah, no, he's going to trust. The one thing Doolittle can do is throw it high and hard, and that's what you have to do to get Cabrera.
1-1. We mentioned a moment ago Jackson's speed aboard at first, and though his speed is terrific, it has not translated into a lot of stolen base success. 12 thefts in 21 attempts. There's that high hard one swung on and missed, and it's 1-2. In fact, the Tigers as a team, if you take Quentin Berry's unbelievable success out of the equation, and Berry was 21 for 21 this year, the Tigers' stolen base percentage is second worst in the American League. Doolittle will check in nonetheless. Jim Leyland the first to admit that, and he did it as early on as spring training when describing his team as much beer league softball as he did Major League Baseball, and that is to say big guys that hit the ball out of the ballpark. We look for productivity from corner outfield and corner infield positions, and we're not going to knock anybody's socks off with athleticism. See some of their ranks in terms of the offensive categories. 29th in stolen bases to the point. Line to left field, and now the fire is good and hot for Miguel Cabrera. But a big at bat by Omar Infante.
Yeah. And Ryan Cook got the 911 call, and he is getting ready in a hurry.
Oakland pitching coach Kurt Young making his first appearance. He's a Michigander from Saginaw, a guy that was drafted by the A's. Back in his home state in the visiting uniform and trying to do his best to help mitigate a big jam here.
You know, I give Bob Melvin more credit than to think this situation caught him by surprise. But all of a sudden, here's Cabrera against a left-hand pitcher. You wonder, even if he falls behind in the count, if he wouldn't make a change. But I think he's obligated to face this guy.
To Miguel Cabrera. A downright frightening proposition to have to face Miguel Cabrera in the late stages of a postseason game. .330 is his career batting average with runners in scoring position. Into center field, Coco Crisp's got to get there in a hurry, and he can't make the catch. Will score, and the Tigers have taken the lead. Santa Maria. Fielder now. An error charged to Coco Crisp.
Wow. What happened there, I think, is Crisp playing deep saw the big swing of Cabrera, got a late jump on it, and simply dropped it. tried to make the Willie Mays basket catch, and as an outfielder, when you're running, particularly if you're running on your heels, that ball is like jumping up and down on you. And Chris couldn't get there quickly enough to make an ordinary catch.
Still 1-2 to Prince Fielder. Of all the ways to get beat by a Miguel Cabrera at bat.
I mean, Doolittle made the pitch high and hard, hit him on the hands, but when a big guy's at the plate and swings as an outfielder, you think it's coming a little deeper. You get a late break, and that's all it takes.
Fielder hanging around on 1 and 2. He might have caught the look on Miguel Cabrera's face when he got to the first base bag. He broke out the biggest smile I think he's worn in a while. And this is a guy who's used to hitting big game-winning home runs. Christmas came early. Prince doing a good job to spoil off a steady diet of high mid-90s.
Look what I found. A base hit. Actually an error.
The 1-2. And finally, Fielder succumbs to high mid-90s. Not before the damage is done. The costliest of 2-run errors has delivered the Tigers a 3-2 lead. Let's send you back to the MLB Network studios to check in with Harold Reynolds for an MLB Authentic Collection Diamond Demo. Who'll become a legend this October? Cast your postseason legend vote at MLBFanCave.com. Coco Crisp trying to avoid the postseason GOAT tag.
Oh, boy.
That's a lonely feeling. And his 2-run error has put Detroit on top by a run. Meanwhile, Yoenis Cespedes leads things off against the new Tiger pitcher Joaquin Benoit, swinging at the first pitch and singling into right field. So the tying run aboard to lead off the visitors' eighth.
Well, Oakland, as a lot of teams in postseason play, talk about being resilient. Things like what happened last inning don't affect them, and they come right back here and lead off the eighth with a base hit. Check out the numbers for Benoit. Again, 84 strikeouts, just 71 in 71 innings. Great combination of power and control.
Here's Brandon Moss now. He has singled and been hit by a pitch this afternoon.
The one thing I've seen Brandon Moss do in the last month is if you leave that fastball middle in, he can turn on it in a hurry. Which is why they'll probably try to keep the ball away from him. You know, this stage of the game as a relief pitcher, your mentality is a mistake away is a base hit. A mistake inside, you're rubbing up a new one. It's a home run.
Two balls and no strikes. The count to Brandon Moss. With a big pass to make it 2-1. A very similar situation as to what Moss and Benoit experienced yesterday in the top of the 8th inning. Almost the same identical circumstance. Runner aboard, it was Cespedes. And Moss hit a ball to the right field wall that looked for a fleeting moment as though it had enough to tie the score. Bigger swing and a miss. 2-2. For these postseason series, it gives many of the participants an opportunity to go right back at it, not 24 hours later, as is the case here. Benoit's 2-2. High fly ball into center for Austin Jackson. And one away.
You mentioned the big swings that Moss took, and then with 2 strikes. See the pitches out away from him. Going to make sure they don't give him anything to pull. Good pitch by Benoit.
Josh Reddick now with 1 out and 1 on. And Reddick, dare I say, is pleased to see anybody not named Doug Fister or Justin Verlander out there. He has struck out 3 times today and 6 times in 2 games in the series. There goes Cespedes. Pitch misses. Throw down to second is not in time. Tying run moves into scoring position with 1 away.
Good jump by Cespedes with fielder playing off the bag. Quick look in at home. He slid in well ahead of the tag. Gerald Laird looked in at the Tiger dugout after that as if he was surprised. Most of the time when a runner takes off, and the catcher obviously can't look at the runner, the guys in the dugout holler, he's going, he's going. So that alerts the catcher to throw the ball. But Laird looked in afterwards at least as if he didn't hear that, and maybe just a touch late with his throw.
A ball and a strike to count to Josh Reddick. Josh Donaldson waiting next. He has singled and walked today. Capacity crowd of almost 41,000 strong. They made a lot of noise last half inning when those 2 runs scored, trying to work up some support behind Benoit here. Cespedes running again, doing so with no throw to third. Oh, boy, you talk about rolling the dice with a left-handed batter in the box. My goodness.
What great timing by Cespedes. I mean, as soon as Benoit looked the other way, he took off. They had no chance to get him. That's going to force the Tigers to bring the infield in. If Josh Reddick had a 2-strike swing, which most of the A's don't, they swing hard every time, would be just to try to poke something to left field, make some contact.
Tying run at third with one gone. Infield in the 2-2 home. Try it all over again. I've all the scenarios that when you've got the tying run in scoring position with one away, a left-handed batter in the box, not a one of us smelled the stolen base.
That's great instincts. He's telling Cabrera how he did it in Spanish.
Again, the infield still in. And Benoit's next 2-2 home.
Now there's a good 2-strike swing. You've struck out 6 times. You got the tying run at third, and he just tried to take what Benoit would give him. Jackson is over into right center. He's got plenty of room out into left center field just to put a ball in play and in the air and produce the tying run.
The next 2-2. It bounces away from Laird. Here's Cespedes, and the A's have tied it.
And I think the first guy to hug Cespedes was Coco Crisp.
You better believe it was.
It looked like Laird, his first move was almost like he was expecting the ball to be low and away, and he could not lean over and block it with his body. Yeah, Coco said thank you.
The 3-2 to Reddick. A swing and a drive, well hit to right. Garcia looking up, and that one is gone! Wild pitch, home run, and Oakland regains the lead. Time is taken on the field now as wherever that home run ball landed, it reappeared onto the field.
Now they'll give it to Josh Reddick. Well, what a team. I mean, this is what they do. Just about the time it looks like they've been devastated, like the time the Yankees came back from 4 down in the 14th. They went on a 9-2 run after that.
Josh Donaldson now.
Well, remember the relief pitcher's motto, a mistake outside is a base hit, but a mistake inside. And you see Laird's glove. He wanted it outside, left it over the middle of the plate. Home run.
Benoit's nothing in one pitch. Home stays high. I mean, you talk about a sequence. A wild pitch after 2 stolen bases ties it. And then on a 3-2 pitch, a guy that had struck out 6 times in the series hits a home run.
Wow.
Donaldson will pop that one foul. Playable for Laird for out number 2. This is a Tiger bullpen, and it's worth a refresher course, Jim, that last year went 77-0 when leading after 7 innings. It was perfect last year in late, close, whatever late situation presented itself. this year a bit more mortal. 72-7 when leading after 7 innings.
That's still an awfully good percentage, but when you have a lead like that, you expect the bullpen to shut it down more often than the Tiger bullpen has. Those 7 losses just show up. They get magnified because, you know, the hits and runs they give up are obviously at the end of the game when it means the most.
Seth Smith has been hit by a pitch and walked today. He pulls that one foul. And if you're Bob Melvin, you're doing some scorecard flipping now. You watch the Detroit bullpen again. Al Albuquerque has joined Phil Coke. And you think, boy, in a perfect world, we won't have to face Cabrera and Fielder again. A ball and 2 strikes to Seth Smith. It'll be 5, 6, 7 leading off the 8th. Young, Peralta, and Dirks. And as long as the Oakland bullpen can keep base runners to a minimum, there's a chance the A's will not have to run that Cabrera Fielder gauntlet. 2-2. Joaquin Benoit worked a scoreless inning last night. The results not as clean in game 2. Smith sends a flare out to shallow left. Dirks is on the run in foul territory. Can't get there. This place was as loud as it could possibly be about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, now it's quiet as a crowded elevator. And that can get awfully quiet.
Six outs away from going to Oakland up 2-0. And now the Tigers are going to have to come from behind once again. Two balls and 2 strikes to Oakland DH Seth Smith.
This has certainly helped Ryan Cook, the A's reliever, out in the bullpen. A cool day, and he had to get up in a hurry. He didn't have much time, but now he's had plenty of time to get loose and get ready.
Smith battling Benoit. The next offering home, line to second, gobbled up by Omar Infante. Not before the damage is done. Yoenis Cespedes, they call him La Potencia in Oakland, the power. He stole 2 bases, scored on a wild pitch, and the power came from Josh Reddick. It's 4-3 Oakland. This MLB Network special is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. And sponsored in part by Edward Jones. Join the nearly 7 million investors who know FaceTime and Think Time make a difference. And Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. What a wonderful afternoon of baseball we've been treated to so far in Detroit. Back with Jim Cotton, Sam Ryan, Matt Vasgersian. A change on the mound for the Oakland A's as Delman Young leads off the visiting eighth. Right-hander Ryan Cook takes over for Oakland.
Another one of those power arms coming out of the Oakland bullpen. More than a strikeout an inning.
2 balls and no strikes. Cook has fallen behind Delman Young. Young hitless in the series, 0 for 3 so far this afternoon. Ryan Cook came to the A's in December of last year, along with Jared Parker and Colin Cowgill, in the deal that sent Trevor Cahill to the desert. The Diamondbacks acquiring a frontline starting pitcher for what was thought at the time to be 2 prospect pitchers and a utility outfielder. Well, those 2 prospect pitchers, Parker and this man, Ryan Cook, had assumed primetime roles in 2012. It's 3-1 to Delman Young, makes it 3-2 on the swing and miss. Cook, a native of the Central Valley of California, Clovis to be exact, not far from where Tiger starter Doug Fister was raised. And the tying run is aboard in the Tigers' half of the 8th.
Well, Josh Reddick put the A's ahead. Let's look back at his afternoon. Matt, you mentioned he was happy to see Doug Fister leave. And when you have a bat, you haven't gotten any hits when you say, I don't want that bat anymore. He threw that one away, got a new one, and look what happened.
They say the cruel thing about this game is you have a chance almost immediately to make the same mistakes. But the great thing about this game is that you have a chance almost immediately to correct mistakes. And that's something Reddick has done today. A pinch runner is aboard as Johnny Peralta stands in now. Don Kelly running at first base in place of Delman Young.
No surprise that this game has come down to a battle of these 2 bullpens who have both been effective all year. And that's what this one will be.
Peralta 1 for 3 today. A ball and a strike. But that leadoff hitter reaching base safely. The base hit by Delman Young makes it a little bit more possible for the likes of Cabrera and Fielder to have a say-so later on in the 9th. And it's 2 balls and a strike now to Johnny Peralta.
Taking a long look at Gene Lamont, the third base coach. No indication, of course, to bunt, but if you're Peralta, what you'd like to do right here is hit the ball the other way and advance the run.
2-2.
That's what he tried to do there. No contact. See the pitch go down and away and kind of a feeble swing, but just trying to see if he can't poke it to right field.
Andy Dirks waiting next. Here's the 2-2 to Peralta. Kelly was running on the pitch as it's fouled back. Now Jim Leland, aware of trying to stay out of a double play situation himself.
Yeah, that was pretty much of a gamble because Kelly didn't take off like he was stealing, and he took a peek in at Peralta. That could easily have been a strikeout throw-up.
Cook will check in at first. Johnny Peralta has grounded into 20 double plays this year, and that total ranks among the American League's top highest, tied for 10th in the junior circuit. Kelly stays put. The pitch to Peralta is lined past Pennington into right field. And here come the Tigers in the home eighth. Here comes Kurt Young once again.
Yeah, as feeble as Johnny Peralta looked on that previous swing, that was textbook. Did his best. Going to give way to a pinch runner right now to just fight the ball off and hit it to right field. He was hoping to advance the runner. Got rewarded with a base hit for doing the right thing.
So Jim Leyland flexing some of his roster muscle here, if you will. Danny Worth will run for Johnny Peralta.
He's obviously looking for a sacrifice bunt.
Dirks is bunting as he pushes the first try foul.
No chance to get a sacrifice bunt down with that position. Never got the bat out in front. Here's a look at it. Watch the bat. It's angled. See, it's still angled toward foul territory. We got to get the bat. You got to get out in front of the plate and get the bat leveled off.
Cooks 0-1. The bunt is down. It stays fair. Throw to first is just in time to get Dirks on a ball that looked like it was angling toward foul territory. Boy, George Kataris made that lightning quick decision to pick it up, and it almost cost the A's the out.
Boy, you are right. Now, there's a much better position there. Kataris right here had to say it's going to stay fair. Quick, pick it up and get one out. But we mentioned before, even though baseball can be a slow-paced game, you have to make decisions in a hurry. Kataris made a quick one and got an out.
We're going to have a pinch hitter now as Quentin Berry has been tabbed to bat for the rookie Abisail Garcia. Tying run at third. Go-ahead run at second with one gun. Has been a wonderful story for the 2012 Detroit Tigers. And the 27-year-old rookie with a chance to be a hero behind 0-1.
Oakland playing in at the corners. Normal depth of second and third. They cannot afford to play in and let a ground ball become a base hit and the tie and lead run score. So they're forced here to maybe give up the tying run, but not the lead run.
0-2 to Quentin Berry. A 367 this year with runners in scoring position. A 367 hitter, that is. Phil Koch's working on a complete game down there in the bullpen. You'd think Sparky Anderson's back in the manager's chair. And the closer is up for good measure as well. Here's the 0-2. A swing and a miss, and Ryan Cook makes quick work of the pinch hitter. There are two away. Well, there's more on that bench for Jim Leyland.
Yeah, good pitch here by Cook. Ball moving down and away, and Berry just kept trying to chase it. No contact. Well, this guarantees one thing for the Tigers, even if they don't score. Miguel Cabrera is going to come to bat again.
Oh, boy. Here's Alex Avila to pinch hit now. Jim Leland using 4 bench players in this inning. Pinch running with Don Kelly and Danny Worth. Pinch hitting unsuccessfully with Quentin Berry, and now it's Alex Avila, who had a big opener in the series, 2 for 3 with a home run a night ago. That one bounces away from Kataris. Here's the tying run to score. Oh my!
What a bizarre way to score runs. I mean, that again was about a 58-footer, but Kataris trying to backhand it, never got his body over to try to block it.
2 balls and no strikes now.
And there's the Tiger reaction.
Big swing and a miss by Avila, 2-1. The excruciating nature of postseason baseball.
Yeah, you know, as a catcher, as Bob Melvin was, and Jim Leland, you like to get your body over and keep the ball in front of you. But sometimes as a catcher, catching a pitcher, you anticipate where the ball's going to be. And it looked like Kataris there maybe thought it would be outside. He tried to backhand it, and he never was able to block it.
3 balls and a strike to the pinch hitter, Alex Avila. A full count now, 3-2. Austin Jackson next. And to Jim's earlier point, something that you're always aware of, where is Miguel Cabrera? Jackson's the top of the order. Certainly Oakland would prefer Jackson in the 9th. Strike 3 taken by Avila. The tying run scores, however, on the wild pitch. A brand new storyline as we go to the 9th. The A's and Tigers, Game 2 of the American League Division Series, all tied up at 4 apiece. Well, Jim Leland went to his bench 4 times in that bottom of the 8th inning, so some changes defensively. Quentin Berry stays in the ballgame. He takes over in left. That'll move Andy Dirks to right. Danny Worth was used as a pinch runner. He'll take over at shortstop for Johnny Peralta. Alex Avila behind the plate. And a new pitcher for Detroit, veteran left-hander Phil Koch will work the 9th. A pinch hitter for the Oakland A's is Derek Norris will bat for Kataris, leading things off. So Bob Melvin responding. Lefty reliever comes on. And a right-handed hitting catcher will open the inning for Oakland.
Koch's numbers in 66 games. Another power arm coming out of these bullpens. Fastball in the mid-90s.
Derek Norris made his postseason debut yesterday and went hitless against Justin Verlander and company. 23 years, 235 days old, and as such became the youngest catcher to start a postseason game in A's history. For top half of the 9th. We talked about the deal that brought Tommy Malone to Oakland when they shipped Gio Gonzalez to the Nationals. It was the same deal that landed Derek Norris, part of that 6-player swap. And a player whose timeline probably increased in terms of when he was going to make a big league impact. Fights that off and fouls it into the seats. It's 2-2. The Detroit Tigers have bounced back in this game 2 of the series and scored a run to counter an Oakland score in each inning. The A's inability to have a quote shutdown inning, that is to say post a 0 after they've played it a run, is something that may in fact come back to haunt them by the time this one's all through. Norris tried to check it but went around, and there's one away in the top of the 9th.
Boy, you can see Phil Koch pumped up. He's walking halfway around the infield. Good pitch to Derek Norris. Good sharp breaking ball that, well, Norris has borderline. He thought he held up. Tough call.
One gone for Cliff Pennington, who's got a couple of hits today.
Yes.
Switch hitting second baseman. In from the right side for the first time this afternoon. There's a light rain starting to fall here in Detroit as we speak, adding to the postseason, the fall flare in this one this afternoon.
Now that's not right on such a nice sunny day, the way it started out. All of a sudden it turned from great fall classic baseball weather to Detroit Lions football weather.
I thought you liked this stuff.
I do to a point, but I'd just as soon have it not raining with a little sunshine.
I think about 41,000 people here in the ballpark would agree with you today.
Good.
1-2. Coco Crisp waiting next. See Cabrera guarding the line at third base. And it's still a ball and 2 strikes. A reminder, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. A ball and 2 strikes to Cliff Pennington. A swing and a drive into the left field corner. Barry is back there, and it's a foul ball.
Wow. Just to add a little more drama to the trauma and drama we've had here, that is just foul. By that much.
Wow. You might be able to slide a comb and a comic book between the baseball and the foul pole. Stays 1 and 2 to Cliff Pennington. Look out. Hit the bull, win a stake.
High and hard. Tough pitch to hit, tough pitch to catch.
Right-handed hitters against Phil Koch this year have gotten to him for a nearly .400 batting average. Pennington sends that one in the air, foul, and out of play. The splits fall in line with what you'd expect, only much more dramatic success by right-handed hitters. 396 for right-handers as compared to a 263 batting average against southpaw opponents. And again, the switch hitter Pennington in from the right side. Switch hitter Coco Crisp next with 1 away and the base is empty. Just missed the corner.
Boy, good discipline right there by Cliff Pennington. You can see Avila had to reach outside, clearly outside the strike zone.
Here is the 3-2 home. Ball 4. And if there was good discipline shown on the 2-2 pitch, that was amazing discipline.
That got Jim Leland pacing a little more, and has Coco Crisp been looking forward to this at bat. There again, he checked in time, and the pitch was outside the strike zone. Crisp, of course, with the error that allowed the Tigers to score a couple back in the 7th. Fan doesn't believe it.
Well, Crisp has already experienced the real highs and lows of this division series. A leadoff home run against Justin Verlander yesterday. A 2-run error that yielded the lead earlier this afternoon. There have been a few head-to-head meetings between these two in the past. Crisp is 0 for 4 against Phil Koch. And he starts him with a strike. Phil Koch making his first postseason appearance since picking up the save in Game 5 of the ALCS against the Rangers last year. A long pause, and now Coco Crisp calls time.
Well, you can tell what Jim Leland wants his outfielders to do. Check Barry in left, Dirks in right. I mean, they're almost to the warning track. And why? Because with Pennington at first base, they do not want to allow an extra base hit. They want the ball to be hit in front of them. At least only allow Pennington to get to third on a base hit.
A ball and a strike. Stephen Drew on deck with 1 out and 1 on. A 4-4 tie, top half of the ninth. On the ground to shortstop. Worth to Infante, back to first, not in time to double off Crisp.
You caught that quick exhale by Coco Crisp, and this is why. Boy, what a nice exchange from Worth to Infante. And, of course, Crisp out of the batter's box from the right side, not going to get down there quite as quickly as a left-hand hitter. Cope thought for a moment they might have a pair, but that was an outstanding play by Danny Worth. You come into the game as a pinch runner, and there's your first action of the day, and you have to make a clutch play, and he made it.
So 2 out with the go-ahead run aboard. And now Stephen Drew hitless today, 0 for 4.
Yeah, I would think you have to try to steal second base at some time during this sequence if you're Coco Crisp. You've seen Cope before. You know his move. You try to get a read on it. Some runners go on first movement. As soon as Cope lifts that leg, he'll take off if he is going to steal. Phil Cope comes very close to balking. You know, with nobody on base, he shrugs those shoulders. With a man on base, he has to keep them quiet. But that time he moved him a little bit. That's very close to a balk being called. Right there. Yeah, I guess they don't consider that starting a motion, but oftentimes umpires would look at that. If you do the same thing 100% of the time and you don't try to deceive the base runner, they let you get by with it, which obviously they did for him on that pitch.
Yoenis Cespedes on deck for Oakland. He's got 3 hits in the series, and Grant Balfour up in the A's bullpen. Bob Melvin not going to take any chances with anything other than his best bullet in the bottom half of the ninth, regardless of what happens here, quite possibly. When the Tigers bat in the bottom of the ninth, it's going to be the top of the order. Jackson, Infante, Cabrera.
Throw to first because Crisp was breaking towards second when Coke started his motion. Up.
.39 stolen bases for Coco Crisp during the regular season. He was thrown out only 4 times. And the pitch to Drew misses up and in. It's 2 balls and no strikes. The Tigers have Al Albuquerque back up in the bullpen, and one would guess he's getting ready should Yoenis Cespedes bat this inning. There goes Crisp. Drew singles into right field. Coco will wrap around to third, and the go-ahead run is 90 feet away with 2 out in the top of the ninth. Oh, boy.
Very unlike these 2 bullpens to see. There's 6 runs scored from the 6th inning on after Fister and Malone put on quite a clinic. With the outfielders playing deep, Dirks keeps it in front of him.
Coco wasn't going to miss that bag either.
No.
After the day he's had. not taking any chances.
Danny Worth put a little decoy on him, like maybe the throw was coming to second, so he went into almost a half slide. And Leland will make a pitching change after that hit.
And Jim Leland not taking any chances. He wants right-hander Al Albuquerque for Yoenis Cespedes. We'll be right back. Yoenis Cespedes against Al Albuquerque. Another change. It's the go-ahead run at third base. Runners at first and third. Two gone top half of the ninth as Albuquerque enters fresh off the heels of a very strong September.
Yeah, sparkling numbers. Again, another power arm. A lot of strikeouts.
The strike to Cespedes. It's 1-1.
And as the Tigers are happy that Miguel Cabrera will come up in the ninth, Oakland is very comfortable right here. This is the guy they want at the plate in this situation.
Cespedes is 2 for 4 today. He has scored a run, driven in another, and stole 2 bases in the 8th. Jam shot back to Albuquerque, and the Tigers are all set for late drama at home this afternoon. The Detroit bullpen holds. Jackson, Infante, and Cabrera as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Tie game hanging in the balance in the top half of the ninth inning. Who kept their cool is presented by Degree, and Albuquerque certainly did. He got Yoenis Cespedes with the tying run at third and certainly relished the moment.
Well, I don't know that I've ever been able to feel the ground ball and had enough time to kiss the ball, but Albuquerque certainly did.
What a terrific story Al Albuquerque has been, coming back off of elbow surgery this year. Gets a crucial out to give the Tigers a chance to walk off winners today. Derek Norris stays in the ball game behind the plate. And Oakland goes to their closer here in the bottom of the ninth, tied at 4, right-hander Grant Balfour.
Yeah, and this guy will pitch with some emotion, Grant Balfour. Very seldom is a closer brought in on the road in a tie game, because the manager knows he's going to have to pitch a couple innings if the A's win this game, but they're in a position where they want to be able to split and go back home.
Austin Jackson has singled and scored today. Jackson, Infante, and Miguel Cabrera last to the ninth. Strike one from the Aussie right-hander. Grant Balfour making his 4th postseason appearance. He got here with the Twins in 2004 and twice with the Tampa Bay Rays in 08 and 2010. A ball and a strike. Balfour ended the season with an exclamation point, appearing on 5 straight days, working a 1-2-3 inning on each occasion. In fact, he retired each of the final 26 batters he faced to cap off Oakland's wonderful come-from-behind story to catch the Rangers at season's end. Donaldson guarding the line at third. And the big meat of the Tigers' order chomping at the bit for a chance. Two balls and 2 strikes to Austin Jackson. Not a lot of head-to-head with Jackson and Balfour. They've met on only 2 previous occasions. The Detroit center fielder 0 for 1 with a walk against the Oakland closer. The 2-2.
Balfour wanted that one. Bob Melvin expressing his disagreement. Well, you can see Norris had to reach outside the zone, tried to pull it back in, didn't get by with it.
The payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. 1 away, last of the ninth. The way Grant Balfour walks around after a punch out, and watch his reaction after he gets Jackson. He looks like a guy who's trying to identify thugs in a bar room for a fight.
I think it's Australian rugby or football rules.
Or that.
Yeah, he's an Aussie. Yeah, see, these first 2 at-bats, it just seems like they're a little prelude, because everybody's waiting for the Cabrera-Balfour matchup, which will come next.
First, it's Omar Infante. 1 away, base is empty. Infante also 1 for 4 today. First ball swinging, he pops it up. And atop the dugout with no play. Grant Balfour at one point during the regular season lost the closer's gig in Oakland, but after being reinstated, converted in each of his final 18 save opportunities, leaving no doubt for Bob Melvin and Kurt Young as to who'd be closing come the fall. And again, after Infante, Cabrera, if need be, fielder. Into right center field. The winning run is on base in the last of the ninth. Well, here we go. Miguel Cabrera, baseball's first Triple Crown winner in almost 50 years. The likely American League MVP. He's never had any success against Grant Balfour outside the base on balls. The Tigers perhaps an extra base hit away from heading to Oakland up 2-0. Nothing in one to Miguel Cabrera. He was hitless in game 1 last night, but doubled in each of his first 2 plate appearances today. And there ain't nobody sitting here at Comerica Park, except for those few people right behind the plate, because they've got great seats.
Oh,
1-1.
that graphic 0 for 6 with 4 walks. See, the walks, important number. Infante's hit was key because 2 out, nobody on. Balfour may have said, well, look, I'll pitch around him and go at fielder. We can't do that right now. Can't afford to put the winning run on second base and walk him.
A ball and 2 strikes. Throw him a wrinkle there on 1-1.
Well, that's if you are going to get Cabrera out, like all outstanding hitters for the most part, high and hard, low and slow. That was a breaking ball down out of the strike zone, so I would think he's going back to that pitch, or he's going to try to buzz him right up here with about a neck-high fastball.
Into center field. A base hit. Infante to third. And the Tigers can win it with a fly ball. Even when you keep him in the ballpark, he's a problem.
You know, it's easy to say that was a lucky hit, but it's because with 2 strikes, Cabrera is not going to try to do something he's not capable of doing. And he got a hanging breaking ball right there. That was not the pitch Balfour wanted to make. Just a breaking ball that Cabrera could make contact with.
But Balfour summons his catcher out. So he and Derek Norris exchange thoughts. And it's going to be up to Prince Fielder now for Detroit.
I don't know. This would be a gambling move, but I don't know if they wouldn't put Fielder on base. Because they've got, they are. See, they've got Kelly coming up next, an inexperienced hitter. You got the only run that counts, a guy at third, so you say, go ahead and put him on. Put the pressure on Kelly. Might get a double play, might get a strikeout. So I could sure see Bob Melvin's thinking here.
Yeah, I think it's, regardless of what happens with Kelly, it's really tough to poke a hole in this rationale.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, anytime you can avoid pitching to both those guys.
It looked like Bob Melvin just got confirmation, not that he needed it, from his bench coach, Chip Hale.
And what a spot for Kelly. You know, goes in the game as a pinch runner. Hasn't had a chance to swing much. Trying to spit and see if he can keep breathing. And try to stay relaxed. And he's got to go out there and try to make contact with a mid-90 fastball. Not an easy assignment.
Well, Prince Fielder is used to this. 18 intentional walks during the course of the regular season, the highest total in the American League. And now the A's will reconvene on the pitcher's mound with Kurt Young to talk about the task at hand with Don Kelly.
I think they're going to talk about playing the infield in, and all be on the same page. How they might go at Kelly because Balfour has not faced him. And if you're Don Kelly, I don't care what past numbers say. Gene Lamont, the third base coach, going to call him down. It's just a matter of making contact. He's just saying, boy, if I can just make contact and get the ball to the outfield.
Don Kelly has hit 3 career sac flies in his time in the big leagues. He's been with the Tigers since 2009. Infield comes in for him. And if he were to cash in here with the bases loaded, he's got Infante, Cabrera, and Fielder. He would further cement his status as a longtime Jim Leyland favorite. And more consultation by the A's. Balfour chatting with Stephen Drew. Last October, deciding game of the AL Division Series, Kelly hit a first-inning home run against Ivan Nova of the Yankees that helped the Tigers get past New York and reach the ALCS. Fans may recall Jim Leyland's teary post-game comments. So Balfour taking some time to settle in, ready to go to work on Kelly. Bases loaded, 1 away. Strike 1.
Now Lamont's going, no, they couldn't do that. He's going over the runner at third. They wouldn't try this bases loaded squeeze. They wouldn't do something that radical. Would they?
Swinging a high, deep drive, and that's going to win it for the Detroit Tigers. Infante comes in to score, and the Tigers are going to Oakland up 2-0. In the big leagues, Don Kelly had never had a walk-off hit.
Have you ever seen anyone get mobbed that much for a sacrifice fly? And what a moment that he'll remember for a lifetime. Big day for Cabrera, and a very surprising day for both these bullpens.
An amazing afternoon of postseason baseball in Detroit ends with the Tigers heading back to Oakland up 2-0 in this best-of-5 American League Division Series. Sam Ryan is standing by with the Tigers hero.
Don Kelly, you've had some clutch hits in the postseason last year. This one with the bases loaded, they leave it up to you. You knew you came in here as a pinch runner. What was your thought process there?
First and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for that opportunity. It's unbelievable just trying to get a pitch to hit. and get the win. I mean, it was a great game today.
You came in the 8th. This one was not a pretty one. Wild pitches. You score on a wild pitch. Take us through that.
Yeah, I mean, we got into a situation. Dirksey put a good bunt down, and we had 2 outs and was able to score the tying run at the time.
How do you sum up the intensity of this one?
It was awesome. I mean, the crowd was into it. I mean, to be able to go up 2-0 in front of our home fans is huge.
And to go up 2-0 going into Oakland with the short series, how big is that?
Huge. I mean, it's easier to win 1, obviously, than go out there and have to win 2. So it's a great feeling.
Don Kelly, the Game 2 walk-off hero. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Sam, thanks. And the Detroit Tigers will have a day to regroup tomorrow and then think about the next 27 outs, which may land them back in the American League Championship Series for a second straight year.
Well, it could, and the only hope that Oakland will look at is the very first year of the wild card. As you see the Tigers celebrating 1995 when the Mariners fell behind 2-0 to the Yankees. And they won 3 straight out in the Kingdom. That's what Oakland is going to hope for. How about Cabrera? What a day.
Miguel Cabrera is our notable performance Samsung player of the game. Notable performance presented by the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1. Miguel Cabrera was kept in the ballpark today, but certainly made a difference. 3 hits, including a key single in the rally in the last of the 9th that would win it for Detroit.
Hit the ball that Coco Crisp dropped, and then got a Grant Belfour hanging slider to put the Tigers in position to win it, which they did.
A 3-for-5 afternoon all told on the heels of a hitless game 1, a couple of doubles. He scored a big run, and as Jim mentioned, he struck the ball that was misplayed in center that really put this game on its ears. The last 3 innings of this game today, Kitty, as wild as any 3 innings in any postseason game we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I thought, one of the keys to the game was the power of the pens. And when you got to the last 3 innings, you thought, well, which of these teams is going to shut the other one down? And here we had 7 runs scored in the last 3 innings. I don't know if that's ever happened during the season against these 2 bullpens.
Big run in the 8th for the Tigers that allowed them to tie it, and it came against Ryan Cook, who had last given up a run on September 5th, more than a month ago, to your point. And he cracked today. At least the Tigers cracked through against him and round to a very exciting Game 2 decision in Detroit. Today's Budweiser walk-off hero, Don Kelly, who, as we mentioned, had never had a walk-off hit in his career. Could not have picked a better time. His sac fly making the Tigers winners in Game 2. Well, Oakland fans need no reminder of this final note. Don Kelly adds his name to a distinguished list of Tigers who have ended postseason games with walk-off hits. As we take a look at it from one more view. Maglio Ordonez hit a 3-run walk-off home run against the A's. Game 4 of the 2006 ALCS. And now it's Don Kelly. Tigers knew it off the bat, and dare I say, so did the Oakland A's.
Yeah, there's not many businesses you can be involved in as an adult when you can always act like a kid, and this is one of them.
What a terrific game this afternoon. In thrilling fashion, the Tigers win it in the final at-bat of the day. Catch our next postseason telecast coming this Wednesday. Bob Costas joins Jim Cott. Presented by Geico. Coming up next, Greg Amsinger, Harold Reynolds, and Dan Plesac have all the highlights and breakdowns on MLB Tonight. So for Jim Cott and Sam Ryan, this is Matt Vasgersian saying goodbye from Detroit. Thanks for watching this ALDS special presented by Geico right here on MLB Network. MLB Tonight is coming up next.